Hey, happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It's probably actually closer to 6 a.m. right now. So this is the nor'easter. That's how it's pronounced. That we got here in the New England, New York area. I want to talk a little bit about this, especially about how the snow in the last 10 or 20 years here in the Northeast has been so much lighter, and how it doesn't stay for as long. I'll talk about that when I get back upstairs. It's not too usual. Let me just tell you this: if you're not from New England or from a snowy area, not too many people use an umbrella in the snow. It looks kind of ridiculous if you're a New Englander, but I need it for this video. So anyway, let me talk about this storm here first. This is what they call nor'easter, and it's the strongest storms where we get the most snow. Any blizzard that we get here in New England is usually a nor'easter. That's spelled N a dash apostrophe O-R Easter. This we were supposed to get 10 to 15 inches at the most, but it's been going up and down. This particular storm here, the meteorologists were saying this morning that just if the track varies just 20 miles to the south, it could really affect the snowfall amounts, like by 3, 4, 5 inches. You know, if a storm just goes a little further to the south or to the north, it could really, in a small state like Connecticut too, it could mean it's a big difference between 10 inches and 15 inches or 5 inches. It's been snowing here for about, I'd say, just 2 or 3 hours. We're getting about, I'd say, about 2 inches per hour here. There's probably almost 4 inches on the ground, so that the math is about right. It probably started off about an inch an hour at the beginning, and it's about up to 4 inches now, and we're supposed to get about, I'd say we're probably going to get 8 to 10 inches, which really isn't much. When I get back upstairs, I'll talk more about this. You know, it's not just an illusion, something people imagine as they get older, that, you know, back when we were younger there was so much more snow. You know, you always hear that, and a lot of people poo-poo that, saying, you know, well, you were only 5 years old, you were short, so the snow looked deeper. No, man, we are definitely getting less snow now, and it's melting, it's staying a lot less longer, and I'm surprised how the snow from the ski areas are still staying in business. All right, I'll see you guys back upstairs. Okay, just getting back inside. Now, if you live in a snowy climate, you probably already know this, but for those of you, I have viewers down in Brazil and Australia and India, and even the southern United States. This is an area you always have in New England or in a snowy area. As soon as you come in the door, this is an apartment. But most people will have like a room that they go into to take all the clothes off, to strip down all the wet clothing. Here in an apartment, I have my towels on the floor. It's going to be an ever-growing pile of wet clothes here on the floor. I'll have every time a storm like this comes, I end up doing a wash, doing my laundry, because all the wet clothes. Every time you go out, you get soaked pretty much from the snow drying. You know, the snow on your, like I said, with an inch or two an hour, you tend to get very wet. All right, let me talk to you a little more about nor'easters and the winters we used to have. Okay, here I am back in my video shooting location. Let me see what I want to talk about. Down below, I have some articles, some links to more explanation of what's going on with the weather. There definitely is warmer winters, without a doubt, and it affects how much snow we get. I'll talk about that more in a second. Oh, I wanted to finish talking about a nor'easter. That generally, you know, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just going to give you a really quick my version of it. It usually involves storms. A lot of times they come up from the Gulf. A lot of times it's a couple storms, like in the movie The Perfect Storm. I think that might have been a nor'easter, but it was similar to a nor'easter. Nor'easter, that's the direction that the storms are headed. They're not coming from the northeast, they're headed. They head, usually they gather, the storms will come across the country and they'll meet with other lows coming up from the Gulf or other lows out in the Atlantic Ocean, and they'll all come together and come up the coast. And it just smacks us up here from New York City generally, or even further down, even down in Washington D.C. But especially right in this area, with the way that Connecticut and Rhode Island and Cape Cod hang off, we really get clipped hard by these nor'easters that come through here. So I have these apps, that weather apps, and I checked last year, like exactly 1 year ago today, what the weather was. And the weather, I couldn't believe this. The weather last year, I think it was a year from tomorrow, it was 67 degrees here in Connecticut, which is just bizarrely warm. This year, it's not quite as warm as it was last year. That last year was an all-time record. We just keep breaking these records 1 year after the next. This year, here in this area, it's been incredibly wet. Tons of rain, especially in December. This is the thing. Back when I was a kid, say back in the 70s, winters were not like this. Like I said, there'll be some links down below to it is true what I'm saying. Usually by Christmas, it's still kind of the same up till, like, say the end of December. Usually we might have a little snow I'm talking about Connecticut now. We might have a little snow on the ground by Christmas, but usually by New Year's, everything, that's when we start. We used to, say back in the 70s, we would get hit usually with 2-3 snowstorms every week. All, snow like 5 inches here, a couple days later, 8 inches, a couple days later, 2 inches, a couple days later, 6 inches. And that's the way it went through the whole winter. And then there was ice storms and sleet. This is how it was like back in the 70s, in January. By January and February, down on the ground, there would be, on the very base layer above the ground, there would be a compacted ice, just a hard snow ice layer that would stay the whole winter. That would be the last thing to melt that would usually last until April sometimes here in Connecticut. And then above that, you would have each layer of the storms that came through. Like in January and February, we would usually have at least 15, 20 inches of snow covering all of the ground with that hard base layer. And this week I was riding my mountain bike. There's no snow on the ground at all. The snow that we got, I think here we got maybe 12 inches so far this year. I think on average in this area, we used to get, I remember getting usually like 70, maybe 80 inches on a particularly snowy winter, but things are much different. We're not getting the same amount of snow by any means, and it's not lasting as long. I don't know all the repercussions for this, but things are definitely changing. I mean, if you are a climate change denier, man, I don't get that. Personally, I feel like the scales have already tipped. It's kind of too late. I think, stuff like solar and electric cars and all that are a good idea, not just because of climate change, but because eventually oil's going to just run out. Just like how they used to use coal back in the old days. It's time to move forward with electric cars and so on, and solar and wind and using the ocean for energy, thermal heating, and all that good stuff. Anyway, the links will be down below. I got to get back out. I got to start cleaning off my car just in case. I always like to have the car clean just in case I need to get out. There's not too many people traveling today. There's all sorts of winter advisories and warnings today. All right, links will be down below if you want to check out more on how we have less snow here. We're definitely getting less snow, and it's lasting a lot less long here in Connecticut and everywhere. Have a good Tuesday.